How did this book come about?
The book Within the Pregnant Pause came about during the first few months of COVID lockdown. I had an idea to create a book with images and about birth, which is supportive of women and birthing people going through the process and creating a sense of empowerment. But then when I got COVID in 2020, and a friend of mine who's an artist and the doctor got COVID at the same time, the kind of acute COVID brain just made me think in poetry all the time and have images in my head. And so to kind of support each other, I asked my friend Clare to draw or paint these images to match the poetry. And somehow this book distilled out of that space, didn't it, Clare?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly like that. I mean, we'd had it in mind, hadn't we? We'd, for quite a few months beforehand, we'd been talking about doing it and throwing some ideas around, and I'd done one or two pictures. But then, we were in contact because of that, and then we got ill together, and we sort of became in daily contact, didn't we? Kind of working out what was going on with COVID, but at the same time, although we were very ill, this was the strange thing. Although we were very ill, we were drawing and writing and communicating, and it was almost like it was that space to do it within.
Within the pregnant pause. The pregnant pause of COVID, and you created this baby of this book.
Yes.
You created your own child.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it, because COVID paused us all.
Mm.
And being a doctor, I'm usually in a very kind of medical space, intellectual space. But the way that COVID affected my brain at that time created space in my brain. There was a sort of emptiness, and there was poetry, and there were images, and there were all kinds of strands of artistry that I don't usually tap into, because my brain's usually very busy with doctoring or thinking academically. And there was just such a lot of synergy. There was a sort of an energy passing between the two of us.
Definitely.
Like an umbilical cord.
Oh gosh,
Sending
that's a good way of
nutrients to
putting
each
it.
other.
Well, that's a really good thought. It was very much a collaboration in that way, and we were actually trying to understand what each other meant, really. Well, and I think primarily because Amali had the concept, and I had to keep trying to draw, paint, or whatever, to produce something that fit the intention, really, of what you were trying to get across. And it was a very peaceful process. I mean, when I paint and draw, I don't have a fixed end in mind for what the picture's going to look like. So I was trying to evolve it so that it fit what Amali was trying to get across. So very much about.
So for both of you working in new ways, the sum of the parts of two becoming one makes something different that you could have imagined before.
And also, the book was originally about a sort of path of empowerment through the act of creating a baby. But in the end, because COVID kind of forced me into a very deep, mindful state of stillness, that was ultimately the message that I created, not ultimately pregnancy preparation. And so that's why the book, even though it might look that it's for pregnancy preparation and birth, if anyone reads it, I was trying to lay the ground of sinking into that stillness and peace, and that zone where you're not thinking, you're being, which I think the book achieves, at least the reviews say it achieves. And I think, whether you had a home birth like me, never had a child like Clare, or perhaps you, Nina, who had a caesarean section, I've had feedback that it does create that peaceful space. So it's not about the type of birth, it's about a process of creativity and a way through the hurdles of life.
That's why the title's so good, because it's actually, within the pregnant pause, it's actually saying it could be anything, and it's like the space around this one concept and how we all got here, you know. And it makes me think as well, even when you're pregnant, as in there's things that need to come out of us, and we feel I don't know if it's also long COVID, or you know, that you know, our younger selves were more active, we were more productive, and then we can feel like, how will I ever get back to that? And we beat ourselves up for not being as productive as we can, or feeling as necessary. That actually, if we can just pause and kind of regroup with where we are at the moment, and also realising the people around us, and I think this book really is always reminding you of the community around you, and also that these are global issues. That in a way we're all going through this all the time. That life is cyclical. It's just not a straight line. Yeah.